or sexual minorities. It doesn't say, for instance, that anybody who is gay or lesbian has any protection against discrimination. As somebody who believes in human rights, you say you do, a lot of people would say, if you look at neighbouring South Africa, in the constitution there, regardless of your sexual orientation, you enjoy the full protection of the constitution, and that's been omitted in this draft constitution. Does that not worry you?
It worries me. I'm sure there are other omissions in there. It is a flawed document.
And did you speak up then?
Yes, I have made my point. We all made submissions. We spoke out against it. We made our submissions. But the point I make, and the point I made earlier, is it's a flawed document, but it is progress.
So you wanted gay rights enshrined in that draft constitution, did you?
I think most of us wanted, protection for all minorities, be they gay minorities, racial minorities, but all minorities have a right to be protected.
All right, so your basic point then is that this referendum should be passed because it then paves the way for elections which are due in this summer.
Correct.
In the run-up to these elections, we've had so many civil society groups inside Zimbabwe say, all right, the MDC and ZANU-PF are committed on this course and they've had this cohabitation and so on, but we in civil society are bearing the brunt of harassment by ZANU-PF supporters. I mean, we've had in February, I'll just give you several examples, Women of Zimbabwe Arise, a civic group.
Yes.
They went on a march and they were, attacked on Valentine's Day, harassed. The Zimbabwe Peace Project, also supporters of that have been harassed. The offices of the Zimbabwe Election Support Network, that's an independent monitoring group, had its offices ransacked, and that represents 20 civil society groups because they were supposed to have contained, misinformation and so on. So there's very clear harassment going on right now.
Yes, there is. There's a long history of harassment. There's still harassment going on, but it's much abated. It's much less than it used to be in the past.
So that makes it all right, then?
It doesn't make it all right, but progressively this is being eradicated. And one hopes that if there is an election, it'll take care of all of this. The outcome will be such that everybody will be protected, and this could be one way to end it.
But when you have that kind of harassment in the run-up to the election, does that not make you worry that actually when the elections do take place, they may not be free and fair if we're seeing this kind of harassment by civil society groups who are accused by the authorities of undermining their case or whatever? We've seen radios confiscated in parts of Zimbabwe because they were being used to perhaps disseminate what somebody might call a balanced view of what's going on in the country, and what ZANU-PF supporters might say is a voice that's against them.
Yes, it worries all of us. It worries all of us, but what can we do about it?
What can you do?
Yes, what we can do is to sound the alarm bells and tell everybody.
Have you done that?
We have done this.
But have you done that since we've had these 3 or 4 civil society groups in February? Did you say this kind of harassment?
We have, as the Anglican Council of Zimbabwe, we have written to the authorities to say this shouldn't happen. Okay, so we have made noise, we've taken a stand, but these things do happen, and our role is to make noise and to sound the alarm bells, and we hope, once again, once we have an election, we'll have an outcome that will take care of all this.
What is the outcome that will take care of all this, then?
To have a government that will abide by the rule of law, whichever government comes in. If they observe the rule of law, then all these things will not happen. And that's what we should be fighting for.
I mean, who do you think will win the election?
It depends on who you talk to at the moment. We hear various predictions. I generally don't know who's going to win the election, but all I want is a government that will observe the rule of law and take care of all the citizens.
I mean, when you look at what's going on in Zimbabwe and you see, for instance, that in the opinion polls consistently the approval ratings of Morgan Tsvangirai's movement for democratic change going down, he seems to be rather preoccupied by his personal life and so on, and the cohabitation with Robert Mugabe since 2008, some people say has perhaps reduced his effectiveness as an opponent of ZANU-PF. To what extent do you think that the role of the opposition in Zimbabwe should be fulfilled by the civil society groups, the civic groups, including the clergy?
I think they're already fulfilling that role insofar as they're voicing certain things and making sure that all citizens' rights are protected. But here we're talking about opposition in Parliament. That is different. People would vote for the group that will protect them and look after their interests in Parliament. This is different to civic groupings. They cannot play that role. So we have to be mindful of that. Yes, they have a role to play, the civic groups, but this is Parliament we're talking about.
But do you not see that perhaps that the balance is shifting a bit in Zimbabwe as the opposition MDC becomes less vociferous in its criticisms, that perhaps even the people are looking more to the civil society groups to do more on their behalf, even if it's outside of Parliament?
I think people look anywhere and everywhere to get the protection that they need. And here you can actually look at the urban population and find that their patterns within the urban population different to rural populations. So it's difficult to say who is where, who does what, but people would seek protection from wheresoever.
Do you think that after these elections in Zimbabwe that the people of Zimbabwe are going to get the future they deserve, to see the economics in the country lifted?
It is my hope that that will happen for many reasons, but among which that we've already started, we've made progress from the situation 5-10 years ago when we had the Zimbabwean dollar as a currency, when inflation was through the roof at 1,000,000%. Some progress has been made. There's been economic growth, we're told, about 8%. It's still sad that the country is languishing in terms of, there's a recent World Bank report that says the ease of doing business in Zimbabwe is very, 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 very low compared to other countries. Zimbabwe was ranked number 175 out of 185 countries, for instance.
And it needs that investment, obviously.
It needs investment. So we are looking forward to the future, and hopefully these are the things that will change.
Do you think Robert Mugabe will be president by the time he turns 90 next year?
It's hard to say. I don't know. You're really asking me to say, well, will he be alive or not? I do not know. If he's alive and has not been voted out, he will be president. If he's dead, he will not be president. If he's been voted out, he won't be president. It's as simple as that, I think.
Bishop Julius Makoni, thank you very much indeed for coming on Hard Talk.
It's a pleasure.